Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're looking at something that, if you're a beginner, you've probably tried and didn't like. We're looking at bar chords today. But more specifically, we're looking at an approach to bar chords that will hopefully make them a bit easier to learn. They are, as you probably already know, quite difficult to get the hang of, to get them under your fingers, and quite physically tough as well. And I'm not going to lie, they're probably still going to take a while to get the hang of, but hopefully with what I'm going to show you today, we can do that a bit more quickly and hopefully get there a bit sooner. So if you've never done bar chords before, they are chords where you have a finger that kind of bars across the guitar like this. So we are going to look at 4 bar chord shapes today, 2 major chords and 2 minor chords. I'm just going to start off with saying that you need to know that the numbers of the strings are as thus. The high E string is your first string, and it kind of goes up towards your low E string, which is your 6th string. So we're going to be talking about 2 chords where the root note is going to be on the 6th string, and 2 chords shapes where the root note is on the 5th string. A major chord and a minor chord on each of those 2 strings. So let's start off at the 3rd fret. We're going to work predominantly in this area here. So our first chord is going to be a major chord where the root note is on the 6th string, on the low E string. This ends up being a G major chord, looks and sounds like this. So the way we normally play it, and the way we're going to work towards playing it, is we're going to have this bar here. This first finger is going to bar across the 3rd fret, like this. So what I'm not doing, I'm not having my finger flat. I'm going to turn it to the side a bit. I'm not going to be all the way to the side, but kind of somewhere in between. I'm kind of aiming for this midpoint here. So I'm not going straight across the finger here. I'm not going straight across the side here. I'm kind of in between, like a kind of 45-degree angle thing. So my finger's here, and it's going to kind of turn slightly. And then I'm going to add my other fingers here. I'll put a little graphic on the screen so you can see where to put your fingers. This comes from the E major chord down here. We should normally play like this. But we're going to change our fingers and we're going to bring this nut with us with the bar up to the 3rd fret. So 2 things, we've got the bar and then the chord shape with the other fingers. You can either start learning this chord by putting the bar there first and then the other fingers, or if you find it easier to put the other fingers there first and then put the bar afterwards. That's up to you. But most people have a problem with the actual bar itself. So what we're going to do, we're going to remove the bar at first. But we're going to keep our first finger still playing with the tip, still playing the low E string, the 6th string. Okay, so you'll see that there is a gap underneath my first finger. I'm not playing the other strings. And all we're going to do when we pick this is play these thick strings, the 4 thickest strings. That obviously leaves the other 2 strings open, which in itself doesn't sound too bad, but if we were to move 1 fret higher and play this G sharp chord or this A flat chord, it doesn't sound as good. So it sounds horrible, unless that's the sound you're going for. So here we are, starting off with no bar, but just playing all 4 fingers, playing these on these 4 strings. So that already should be easier than playing with the bar. So you want to just try and get that under your fingers first. Feel free to move around the fretboard. Play them as single notes if you want. And once you get the hang of that, then we can start thinking about adding the bar. Actually, what we're going to do before that is think about filling in the gap of these 2 open strings. So we don't want these strings to come out. And even though we might not aim to play them, we might play them by accident. So we want to stop that by using muting. So I'm going to bring this first finger where the bar will be. I'm going to bring that down a little bit so it's touching these 2 high strings, these 2 top strings. So they're muted. So while it's technically not a bar chord yet, it is essentially that chord. And you can get away with playing this for quite a long time. It's almost kind of punky. when we're ready, we can bring the whole finger down. And what makes this hard is having that pressure on there. So when we had this version with no bar, we're only pressing down one finger. We're not pressing, or the tip of the finger. We're not pressing down the whole finger, but which we're going to try and do that now. Now, obviously, you're not going to learn this as quickly as I've just showed it to you there. This is going to take some time, maybe weeks, maybe even longer, maybe months. That's the process we want to do. First finger, or the tip of the finger, I should say. Add the mute, which you hopefully should be able to do pretty quickly. And when you're ready, and give this a go whenever you want to try it, flatten the whole finger for that bar. I hope that all makes sense. Let's move on to the next shape. We're going to move to the root on the 5th string now. So from here, down the string to the A string, we're going to play the minor chord. So this will be a C minor chord. Okay, so you might know this. You might know the shape already, and you'll probably notice that it is the same shape as the one we just did. This G major chord where the root is on the 6th string. We're just going to take that, move everything down one string, and we're going to play from the A string. Okay, we're going to take the same approach here, where we're going to take our first finger, which is meant to do the bar, and we're just going to play the tip of the finger. No bar yet. So as I said earlier on, that should be easier than playing it with the bar. And it does leave the open E string, which sounds horrible in this context. So we're going to try and mute that as well. So we're going to bring our... And one thing we're going to think about with muting is where is my wrist? I'm going to bring my wrist back a little bit. And I'll show you this angle again. If I bring my wrist back a bit, you see it close that gap and mute the string. Yeah, so I'm not worried about making this high E string sound just yet. All I want is these first 4 strings. Okay, so you'll notice now that we have to try and mute this low E string as well. And this next bit, I don't want you to focus on it too much. If you're finding it quite tough already, just don't worry about this next bit just yet. Maybe try and do it again at a later time. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take the tip of our first finger, we're going to lift it up and just raise it a bit so it touches the low E string. Let me get close on that. So this is where you might find it. So we're usually playing with the tip of the finger. I'm going to lift my finger up a bit, make it higher so it touches just underneath the low E string, and it should keep that low E string quiet. So when you play the whole thing, you get just the C minor chord as opposed to this. Alright, let's go back to the root on the 6th string now. So we're going to do our minor chord. So let's start from our major chord. So remember, this is our major chord. So we've got a G major chord at the 3rd fret, root on the 6th string. To make it minor, we need to take our middle finger off. So you might have done this before. All you do is take your middle finger off, and that makes it a minor chord. You can hear the minorness of it. You want to make sure this G string, that's the important note that we want to come out. That's what makes this chord minor. And that's what's going to be hard to make come out, because that's right in the middle of the bar. That's right there. So if that's not coming out, you've essentially just got a power chord, which, until you get this, is fine for the moment. So you want to focus on this 3-note power chord. And same as we did earlier on, we're going to try and fill the gap underneath our first finger to try and mute the other strings. But we don't actually, our aim is not to mute it. Our aim is to actually play those 3 notes here, these 3 strings with underneath, that bit underneath your first finger. So when you're ready, try pressing down with that part of your finger, your first finger, and try and add the remaining strings. So you need to remember to be pressing with this part of your finger here. That needs to be pressing into the guitar as well. Don't forget to use your thumb underneath for extra strength, for extra squeeze when you're playing these bar chords. One thing that my uncle taught me, who's my uncle Riddell, who started me off on the guitar back when I was a teen. In fact, before I was a teen, I think I was about 11 or 12 or thereabouts. But he inspired me and got me started. I used to see him do this when he played this chord. He'd take his middle finger and he'd put it on top of the first finger for extra strength, for extra push into the guitar fretboard. And he'd go. So that's quite clever, I thought. So if your first finger's not quite strong enough, if you need that extra bit of help, use your second finger to press onto your first finger. So let's go back to the 5th string for our final shape. This is our major chord. It looks like this. So it's a C major chord now. You might have seen it like this, which is how a lot of people learn it when they first start playing these chords. This is how I learned it at first as well. The problem with this is that you're using 4 fingers as opposed to 2 fingers, which is what I'm going to show you in a minute. And also, as you get higher, it becomes really hard. The angle of your wrist becomes really hard to maintain. Whereas the 2-finger version is a lot easier. So this comes from the A major shape, the A major open chord. But we're just replacing it with the 1 finger. This is where our bar is, by the way, and we're going to move up to the whole thing up to the 3rd fret again. So the bar this time, our 3rd finger is at the 5th fret, and we're playing these 3 notes with 1 finger. And what I look for here, I'll try and get close. I don't know if you can see this. Get the right angle. I'm looking for this kind of slight curve in my finger. It's kind of concaving. So it's kind of going in a bit. And there's a little bend in the knuckle here. You see that curve and the bend in the knuckle? That's kind of what I look for when I'm teaching this chord. We want to make sure that we're not playing this high E string as well. Otherwise you get a C6 chord, which is a nice chord. And if you want that chord, that's how you do it. But we want to play the straight major chord, so we're going to try and mute this string. And the way we do that is wrist movement again. So we're going to bring my wrist forward a bit, and you'll find these movements really micro, really small movements. And as I bring my hand forward, my wrist forward, there we go, it's muted. Okay, so this, again, it's a bar chord, so it's going to take some time to get the hang of this. Then we want to add our first finger, and it's going to be on the 5th fret, and in this case at the 5th string, and in this case at the 3rd fret. You don't need to bar at the 3rd fret with the first finger. You just need to play this 1 note. If you want to bar, if you find it easier to put 2 bars there, that's fine, because everything behind this point isn't going to, on those 3 strings, isn't going to make a difference. So you can bar there if you want. Or you can just play the one note. Okay, we have the same problem as we did earlier on with the C minor chord, where we want to try and keep the low E string quiet, and it's the same solution. We're going to try and, rather than using the very tip of the first finger, we're going to just raise it up a bit and use more of the pad of the first finger, so that it touches the underneath. It kind of touches the underneath of the low E string. Hopefully keeps it quiet. So, Seven Nation Army by the White Stripes is one way you can practice even just this finger here. And no, I'm not swearing at you, because I think he uses a slide and playing these strings. So you can practice that if you want, and when you're ready, add the first finger in. So those are the 4 bar chord shapes. Where do we go from here? So first of all, you wanna practice them individually. Just try and get them one at a time. Try and get the shape under your fingers through the different stages that I showed you, and after time they will start to become easier. And as I said at the beginning, they're not going to come straight away. They're gonna take some time. So you're gonna have to be prepared to just let that time pass, and eventually you'll get this. You want to start moving these around. So if I'm taking, say for example, the first one we did, the major chord on the root on the 6th string, I might want to just move them up the frets. Maybe just follow the dots. And do that with the other shapes as well. And then we want to start combining the shapes together. And by this point, you're basically playing chords to songs. Yeah, that was "You Give Love a Bad Name" by Bon Jovi. I'm not sure if he's actually using power chords there, but we can use that as a study to try playing these bar chords. Bon Jovi stuff is pretty good. Guns N' Roses, basically the stuff I grew up on. November Rain is a good one to do for bar chords, which I believe is in the key of F. The solo section to Stairway to Heaven is essentially bar chords. This A minor chord, G, F. That's 2 shapes there. As you heard, something similar at the beginning of this video. And what I did is I just basically moved those shapes down a string and did the same versions with the root on the 5th string. So D minor, C, B flat. Speaking of D minor, Sultans of Swing also uses these kind of chords. Although the movements are quite fast, so you might not want to start with that one, but it's something you can work up to. So I hope you found that useful. That was a kind of a way of learning how to play bar chords, where hopefully it will make it a little bit easier for you to learn them, because they are quite tricky. So if you are having trouble with bar chords, don't give up. Everyone goes through this. Think of it as like an initiation, as like a rite of passage for you as a guitarist, something that all of us have to go through. So you're part of the club. If you're giving this a go, you're part of the guitar club. Well done to you. Just keep going and you will get them eventually. Alright, as a little extra side note, I'm not going to go into detail on this, but this is how Jimi Hendrix played bar chords. So if you're interested in seeing a lesson on that, it shouldn't take too long to show you, but he's using his thumb. So if you want to learn that and anger a lot of classical guitarists in the process, then let me know in the comments below. So yeah, hope you enjoyed that. Hope that was a good lesson for you. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you have any questions, also let me know. And if there's anything that you're interested in learning, let me know as well. So this is still a young channel, so any kind of likes and subscriptions would be fantastic and much appreciated. So I'm still trying to grow this channel and try to get noticed on YouTube so they can suggest my videos and hopefully get monetized and try and earn some money back from all the money lost as a struggling musician, like a lot of us are. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that video. I will see you in the next one. Until then, take care.